In the last episode, an angel announced the birth of Samson to a barren woman. The Nazirite grew, and the Spirit of the Lord stirred within him. He tore a lion apart with bare hands. But his Philistine bride betrayed the secret of his riddle, and she was given to another man. Later on, at the time of wheat harvest, Samson takes a young goat and goes to visit his wife. He says, "I am going to my wife's room." But her father will not let him go in. He says, "I was so sure you hated her that I gave her to your companion. Is not her younger sister more attractive? Take her instead." Samson answers, "This time I have a right to get even with the Philistines. I will really harm them." The father's choice, the bride given away. Now Samson has his justification for war. Samson goes out and catches 300 foxes. He ties them tail to tail in pairs and fastens a torch to every pair of tails. He lights the torches and lets the foxes loose in the standing grain of the Philistines. He burns up the shocks and standing grain together with the vineyards and olive groves. 300 foxes. Fire spreading through the harvest. The wealth of the Philistines goes up in smoke. When the Philistines ask who did this, they are told, "Samson, the Timnite's son-in-law, because his wife was given to his companion." So the Philistines go up and burn her and her father to death. The wife who betrayed him, the father who gave her away, both die in the flames of Philistine vengeance. Samson says to them, "Since you have acted like this, I swear I will not stop until I get my revenge on you." He attacks them viciously and slaughters many of them. Then he goes down and stays in a cave in the rock of Etam. Slaughter, retreat. The cycle of violence escalates. The Philistines go up and camp in Judah, spreading out near Lehi. The men of Judah ask, "Why have you come to fight us?" They answer, "We have come to take Samson prisoner, to do to him as he did to us." 3,000 men from Judah go down to the cave in the rock of Etam. They say to Samson, "Do you not realize that the Philistines are rulers over us? What have you done to us?" He answers, "I merely did to them what they did to me. Judah has come not to fight the Philistines, but to hand over their own deliverer. The tribes are so broken they serve their oppressors." They say to him, "We have come to tie you up and hand you over to the Philistines." Samson says, "Swear to me that you will not kill me yourselves." They answer, "We will only tie you up and hand you over to them. We will not kill you." They bind him with 2 new ropes and lead him up from the rock. Israel binds its own champion. The Nazirite is delivered to the enemy by his own people. As he approaches Lehi, the Philistines come toward him shouting. The Spirit of the Lord comes powerfully upon him. The ropes on his arms become like charred flax, and the bindings drop from his hands. Finding a fresh jawbone of a donkey, he grabs it and strikes down 1,000 men. A jawbone, an unclean thing from a dead animal. Yet in Samson's hand it becomes a weapon of mass destruction. Samson says, "With a donkey's jawbone I have made donkeys of them. With a donkey's jawbone I have killed 1,000 men." When he finishes speaking, he throws away the jawbone. That place is called Ramoth Lehi. 1,000 dead, the greatest slaughter by one man in all of Scripture. Because he is very thirsty, he cries out to the Lord, "You have given your servant this great victory. Must I now die of thirst and fall into the hands of the uncircumcised?" Then God opens up the hollow place in Lehi, and water comes out of it. When Samson drinks, his strength returns and he revives. That is why it is called En-Hakor, which is in Lehi to this day. Even in his boasting, Samson knows the victory belongs to God, and God provides water from the rock for his flawed servant. Samson leads Israel for 20 years in the days of the Philistines. 20 years. The Philistines are not defeated. They are merely held at bay. One day Samson goes to Gaza, where he sees a prostitute. He goes in to spend the night with her, the Nazirite who is to be holy, set apart from the womb. He spends the night with a prostitute in the heart of Philistine territory. The people of Gaza are told that Samson is there. They surround the place and lie in wait for him all night at the city gate. They make no move during the night, saying, "At dawn we will kill him." But Samson lies there only until the middle of the night. Then he gets up and takes hold of the doors of the city gate, together with the 2 posts, and tears them loose, bar and all. He lifts them to his shoulders and carries them to the top of the hill that faces Hebron. The gates of Gaza, torn from their foundations, carried 40 miles to Hebron. Another display of impossible strength. Sometime later, he falls in love with a woman in the valley of Sorek whose name is Delilah. Delilah. The name means feeble or languishing, but she will prove stronger than the strongest man in Israel. The rulers of the Philistines go to her and say, "See if you can lure him into showing you the secret of his great strength, and how we can overpower him so we may tie him up and subdue him. Each one of us will give you 1,100 shekels of silver, 5,500 shekels of silver, a fortune, the price of Samson's head." Delilah says to Samson, "Tell me the secret of your great strength and how you can be tied up and subdued." Samson answers, "If anyone ties me with 7 fresh bowstrings that have not been dried, I will become as weak as any other man." The rulers of the Philistines bring her 7 fresh bowstrings that have not been dried, and she ties him with them. With men hiding in the room, she calls to him, "Samson, the Philistines are upon you." But he snaps the bowstrings as easily as a piece of string snaps when it comes close to a flame. So the secret of his strength is not discovered. The first lie, the first test. Samson plays a dangerous game. Delilah says, "You have made a fool of me. You lied to me. Come now, tell me how you can be tied." He says, "If anyone ties me securely with new ropes that have never been used, I will become as weak as any other man." Delilah takes new ropes and ties him with them. Then, with men hiding in the room, she calls to him, "Samson, the Philistines are upon you." But he snaps the ropes off his arms as if they were threads. The second lie, the second test. Still Samson does not leave. Delilah says, "All this time you have been making a fool of me and lying to me. Tell me how you can be tied." He says, "If anyone ties me securely with new hair ties that have never been used, I will become as weak as any other man." Delilah takes new hair ties and ties him with them. Then, with men hiding in the room, she calls to him, "Samson, the Philistines are upon you." But he snaps the ropes off his arms as if they were threads. The second lie, the second test. Still Samson does not leave. Delilah says, "All this time you have been making a fool of me and lying to me. Tell me how you can be tied." He replies, "If you weave the 7 braids of my head into the fabric on the loom and tighten it with the pin, I will become as weak as any other man." So while he is sleeping, Delilah takes the 7 braids of his head, weaves them into the fabric, and tightens it with the pin. Again she calls to him, "Samson, the Philistines are upon you." He awakes from his sleep and pulls up the pin and the loom with the fabric. The third lie, closer to the truth. His hair is mentioned for the first time. She says, "How can you say, 'I love you,' when you will not confide in me? This is the 3rd time you have made a fool of me, and have not told me the secret of your great strength." With such nagging she prods him day after day until he is sick to death of it. Day after day. The pressure never stops. The strongest man cannot resist endless nagging. So he tells her everything. "No razor has ever been used on my head, because I have been a Nazirite dedicated to God from my mother's womb. If my head were shaved, my strength would leave me, and I would become as weak as any other man." The secret is told, the Nazirite vow revealed, the source of his strength laid bare. When Delilah sees that he has told her everything, she sends word to the rulers of the Philistines, "Come back once more. He has told me everything." The rulers return with the silver in their hands. After putting him to sleep on her lap, she calls for someone to shave off the 7 braids of his hair. And so she begins to subdue him, and his strength leaves him. She calls, "Samson, the Philistines are upon you." He awakes from his sleep and thinks, "I will go out as before and shake myself free." But he does not know that the Lord has left him. The most tragic words in Judges. He did not know that the Lord had left him. The Philistines seize him, gouge out his eyes, and take him down to Gaza. Binding him with bronze shackles, they set him to grinding grain in the prison. Blind, bound, grinding grain like an ox, the mighty Samson reduced to a beast of burden. But the hair on his head begins to grow again after it has been shaved. A small detail, but it carries the weight of hope. Now the rulers of the Philistines assemble to offer a great sacrifice to Dagon, their god, and to celebrate. They say, "Our God has delivered Samson, our enemy, into our hands." Dagon, the fish god of the Philistines. They give him credit for what their silver and Delilah accomplished. When the people see Samson, they praise their God. They say, "Our God has delivered our enemy into our hands, the one who laid waste our land and multiplied our slain." When they are in high spirits, they shout, "Bring out Samson